In the silent theater of attraction, men emit signals. 3 archetypes emerge. The invisible, his presence, a void, his intentions, unread. The clown, his efforts, a performance of awkward need, met with polite dismissal or, worse, the sterile comfort of the friend zone. Then the signal, his communication, precise, resonant, altering the dynamic, leaving an imprint of value, not of pursuit. This is not a guide to charm. It is an examination of the mechanics of flirtation, a dissection of influence. The erosion of connection, or its inception, often hinges on these unspoken laws. Pay attention. What follows is an observation of these forces. The function of flirtation. Observe a common exchange, devoid of its presence.
Where are you from?
Melbourne, Australia.
Wow. Survived the deadly animals then?
Yeah, nah. Seriously though, I've heard it's one of the world's most livable cities or something. Why'd you move?
Yeah, it's a pretty great place to live. I moved because blah blah blah.
The dialogue continues, sterile. The issue is an absence of tension, a palpable lack of romantic context. It is information exchange, devoid of signal. The consequence for one participant, a solitary departure or descent into the platonic, a terminal state of relational inertia. Flirtation is the mechanism that disrupts this neutrality. It introduces sexual intent, shifting perception from mere acquaintance to potential intimate. It differentiates the signal from the noise. If flirtation is the boundary between the platonic and the potent, its misapplication is common. The mechanics of its failure warrant examination. Many are simply broadcasting static, a primary fracture in execution, overtness. This dissolves mystery, and with it, the tension necessary for intrigue. Directness collapses the space for implication. Consider this exchange.
I love sports bras.
I bet you'd look amazing in a sports bra.
The signal is crude, exposed. Effective flirtation operates through subtext, through the unspoken. It cultivates curiosity, a desire to decipher. Overt declarations, especially regarding physical appearance, not only betray inexperience, an indicator of low value, but also prematurely expose intent. This negates the crucial element of plausible deniability for the woman. Societal conditioning instills a defense mechanism against overt sexual judgment. A direct, immediate sexual framing forces a retreat, an activation of this anti-shame protocol. She requires a narrative, a justification for progression that sidesteps direct concession to raw sexual pursuit. Example, I've got this awesome pool table at my place. We'll go play a round. Both parties may recognize the underlying current, but the pretext provides a necessary social buffer. The invitation is to an activity, not explicitly to a sexual encounter. This allows for a rationalization, a psychological easing into the unfolding dynamic. The blunt instrument achieves little. Subtlety offers a path. Another common miscalibration, the deployment of non-sexual banter. Banter common in homosocial male groups lacks the required sexual undertone. Its transposition into a flirtatious context results in a signal that is misaligned, generating camaraderie instead of tension. The distinction is stark. A high five is interaction. Holding a hand is a statement of intent, a crossing of a threshold. Risk aversion leads to these diluted exchanges. The consequence is an absence of the necessary sexual polarity. Most men never learn. The correction for overtness is the calibration of subtlety. The blunt instrument is refined into an indirect signal. Revisit the previous exchange, now altered.
I love sports bras.
Really? Well, believe it or not, I love girls who love sports bras.
The implication is present, yet veiled. Interest is conveyed, not declared. This indirection generates intrigue, a space for her to invest cognitive effort. It signals discernment, not indiscriminate pursuit. Desperation broadcasts on a wide, obvious frequency. Subtlety, conversely, is the hallmark of perceived high value, an individual whose interest is earned, not freely given. This perceived value is central to the next mechanism. Interaction with individuals perceived as high value, particularly attractive women, often involves stress tests. These are probes designed to gauge composure, to test the frame of control. A reaction of detachment, an unperturbed state, signifies strength, amplifying attraction. Conversely, defensiveness, insecurity, or justification signals a fracture in that control. Attraction decays. These tests manifest as challenging remarks, pointed questions, or compliance bids. Test, I bet you use that line on all the girls. How many women have you slept with? Buy me a drink. A consistent response pattern involves agreement and amplification to accept the premise of the test and escalate it to an absurd degree, thereby demonstrating immunity to its intended pressure. I bet you use that line on all the girls. Yes, I wake up every morning surrounded by them. Is that an issue? How many women have you slept with? Today? Not that many. Buy me a drink. Certainly. Would you like my ATM pin as well? The core principle is unwavering frame control. A further dimension of control involves inversion of the chase dynamic. The default assumption is male pursuit of the female prize. This expectation can be systematically subverted by framing the interaction such that she is positioned as the pursuer. Her words and actions are reinterpreted, playfully or otherwise, as attempts to gain his approval or to seduce him. Example 1. Her statement, "I love sports bras," is met with, "Don't try to make me think of you in a sports bra." The implication? Her statement was a seduction attempt. Example 2. Her query, "Want to grab another drink?" becomes, "Oh, I see. Trying to get me drunk so you can take advantage of me?" The frame is reversed. Example 3. If she appears to be staring, the question, "Are you trying to seduce me?" reinforces this inverted frame. Example 4. An invitation to his place. "We can go grab a drink at my place, but only if you promise not to try anything." The power dynamic is explicitly reversed. Example 5. Her comment, "Massages are awesome," is met with, "Think you can seduce me by offering free massages?" When she denies it, good, because it won't work. This reinforces his status as the entity being sought. This technique doesn't just playfully tease, it fundamentally reframes perceived value and control. They won't tell you this. Consider the push-pull dynamic. A controlled oscillation between approach and withdrawal, verbally or physically. This creates a state of mild emotional dissonance, a form of intrigue. Example 1. "You're too cute for me to handle." Shoo. An expression of attraction, pull, is immediately countered by a playful dismissal, push. The contradiction generates tension. Example 2. "You're awesome, like my little sister." A compliment, pull, is neutralized by a platonic, de-escalating comparison, push. This fluctuating signal prevents predictable rapport and heightens investment. It mirrors the scarcity principle. That which is easily obtained is lightly valued. An entity that demonstrates the capacity to withdraw, to push, signals self-possession and non-needy desire. The perception of value is intrinsically linked to the perception of elusiveness or earned access. Unconditional availability erodes this perception. Thus, push-pull serves as a demonstration of this inherent high value, not through declaration, but through behavioral pattern. A related tactic involves framing innocent remarks or situations as her attempts at seduction. If in a discussion about her living space, she inquires about a practical matter, a response like, "Are you already trying to get me to your place? I'm not surprised," reframes her innocent query as a deliberate advance. This form of teasing, while seemingly counterintuitive, operates on the level of implied dynamic. It consistently positions her as the initiator of romantic or sexual interest, reinforcing the reversed chase dynamic. Competence, particularly sexual competence, is not conveyed through direct statement, "I am a good lover," but through subtle, sexual illusion. If an innocuous skill is praised, for instance, cocktail preparation, a response such as, "I'm good at many things," delivered with intent eye contact, transmits a layered message. The overt meaning is innocent, the subtext is sexual. This creates an unspoken awareness, a signal of potential that she is invited to decipher. The trope of men using women for sex can also be inverted. When providing assistance or a small favor, a remark like, "So, you're already using me. I can see where this is going. Soon, you'll be using me for other things," playfully flips the script. This role reversal introduces a sexual undertone through humor and perceived innocence, further solidifying the frame where she is the one escalating the dynamic, and he is the desirable, perhaps even exploitable, resource. It starts with silence. These are not rules for a game. They are observations of underlying currents, the mechanics of attraction and rejection. Every interaction is an exchange of signals, a subtle assertion or yielding of control. The silence in a room can be louder than any word spoken. Not every man speaks, but every man is broadcasting.